this morning we actually rolled out actually quite a few of your tools in terms of our strategy. So what he's doing today, he's going to review all of the tools. So essentially consider this a training in the various tools available through HR Service.
Excellent, thank you. So I want this to be an open discussion, so if you have any comments or questions as we go, please feel free to ask your questions. So we're really addressing actually five key issues and problems with our total package, and I'll show you there's different options here, so you can customize to fit and address each of your clients' needs. But I'm going to start by showing you kind of the Cadillac, the overall, what we call our Compliance Basics Plus SPD Wrap and Pop service, but realizing you can pull off some things, and I'll show you how that works at the end here. So the problems that we're addressing, the first issue is we've got to make sure your clients are able to pass ERISA Department of Labor audits. And let me ask, have any of you had clients that have been audited yet? I'm knocking on wood as I say that. I don't want to hex you.
I have. This is Karen. I have.
Okay. So you've had someone go through an audit recently?
No. It was probably, I'd say, 7 years ago.
Oh, okay. Well, and we've all heard the rumors. Have the audits been increasing? Have they hired thousands of more auditors? And the answers are yes, but it's also, I think this has also been blown out of proportion, like these things tend to do. Audits are happening. Now, we've had a 15-person company that was audited just a few months ago. We had a 40-person company where the broker actually called the Department of Labor and said, "Why are you auditing this group?" And their response was, "We're going to audit all groups by 2018. Now, I don't think that's possible, but I've heard, we hear different rumors and things that are going around. But nonetheless, as we talk to different UBA members at the Chicago events and such, we're hearing there are more people are audited, but it's not near what the hype is, so it's happening, but not quite as bad as it sounds, right? With the audits, what they're looking for, this is a very high level view of and Karen, you maybe remember, it's like a 4 or 5 page document, where they're asking for all kinds of information. But some of the things they look for are a summary plan description or a summary plan description wrap document. They're looking for various notices, and I'm going to show you more information on notices in a moment. Trigger and event notices like COBRA, which people are pretty good at the trigger and event COBRA. 5,500 reports if it applies. And then, of course, the healthcare reform compliance. And that's the compliance is probably the real reason why the audits are pushing out right now. Is I believe personally that they're wanting to ensure enforcement, that to make sure people are participating, that they're following the rules and such. Probably a little bit of a revenue search as well here, a drive for it. The next thing that's an issue and a challenge out there is just getting clients to send out all the right notices. And you got everything here from COBRA, CHIP, mental health and parity, newborns, on down to summary of benefits and coverage. And tell me if you agree. Our perception is that clients are pretty good at COBRA and summary of benefits and coverage, but that others are a little bit hit and miss. Some do them, some don't, and some are not doing them at all. Is that kind of your take, or is it different for you and your groups?
I would agree.
Okay. So we're hoping to address this problem as well. So all of these problems I'm showing you at first, I'll show you how we help with them with the tools that's available. The other challenge is just keeping people informed. You get a lot of resources and a lot of things, from UBA. You get, but it's a challenge for employers to keep up on all employment laws. And if they have any chance of compliance at all, they have to know what's going on. And so if they don't know, every month, what do I need to know and do this month, they're at risk that they're going to miss something. Something's going to fall through the cracks. And so that's a challenge. And and I'll show you how we can help with that too. The other issue is we believe that there's still a lot of companies, especially that small to medium size, who are not fully HIPAA compliant. They're not properly managing their PHI, protected health information. And so I'll show you a tool that can help them to address that, for them as well. Anyone who offers a medical insurance plan, has a level of HIPAA that applies to them just by virtue of that. And then it depends on how they handle that protected health information. A lot of the smaller companies, you almost go to great length to not have to handle the PHI period, and if you can do that, that's great. But invariably, someone like the insurance brokers are having to, they get access to information or other external parties, so they may need a business associate agreement, and and still have to manage how they're sending and receiving information and how it's stored and such, So I'll show you a little more on that as well. The last thing I mentioned just in here, and then we'll go into details on the service, is 125 POP documents. So I think most of you are aware that in order for employees to pay for part of their insurance premiums for medical, dental, other qualifying programs, it could be voluntary programs as well, the company either has to have a flexible spending account, a full 125 cafeteria plan, or they need what's called a premium-only plan document, 125 premium-only plan document. Well, there were changes last year, several amendments that need to be made in those documents, as well as there were a couple in 2013. So a lot of clients may have documents that are out of date. So they either need to get them amended or maybe even just replace them. So again, that's just something to keep in mind as we go through this process. Questions about any of those problems that I presented so far? So I'm going to go into details about the service. So this is the comprehensive, the Compliance Basics Plus SPD Wrap and POP service, but keeping in mind you can pull off some things or break some things out if you want. This is probably the most popular service just because it provides a total compliance solution. It's not just a wrap document service, but it is that too. So, but I'll show you how everything works here. So the first thing that we do with this service, we provide them with what they need to know and do every month. So once a month, they receive a legal update that covers all employment laws. So it's not just ERISA, not just healthcare reform. It covers all employment laws. So if there's a change in the Fair Labor Standards Act or FMLA or Title VII of the Civil Rights Act, the clients are notified what those changes are, what they need to do, and the dates. So once a month, here's an example. So we give them clear compliance reminders, what's gone on, the details of that. We give them federal changes, and sometimes they may need to click a link if they want more details on something. We try to keep things as clear and succinct as possible because we're thinking of that small to medium-sized company, the employer that's going, just cut to the chase. Tell me what I need to do. They don't want to get into tons of detail. So we cover the federal changes.
Ken?
I'm sorry? Oh, yes.
Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt. This is Karen. I just wanted to follow up. We had a discussion this morning, and I want to make sure everybody's clear when he's talking about compliance basics. When we had a discussion this morning, I was referring to this as Compliance 101 notices, so to speak. That was a generic, not necessarily accurate label. And internally, Ken, is based upon my earlier conversation with you, what we're doing is we're kind of have two product offerings side by side. One is Compliance Dashboard and one is Compliance Basics. The reality is that I have a number of, and that's up to the, kind of the client's needs and the AE's, account executives, direction with the account as to which tool is going to be used. I just want to make sure that they're clear on the fact that this is what we were talking about here for compliance basis. This is the Compliance 101 notices that he's talking about. I assume you all were clear on that, but I just wanted to make that statement.
Great, thank you. And we'll talk about some of the differences between us and the dashboard, briefly too, so you can always make that decision which one, in some cases they may want both. because they're very, they're very different. They don't necessarily, exclude each other, but there's a little bit of crossover in both of those. So we also cover state-by-state changes. So if I'm in the state of California, for example, that's highlighted and underlined, so I know that there's changes there, so I need to click that to see what they are. Employers can go to any of the states where they have employees out. And by the way, we send this legal update out to you a few days ahead of time, so that we include your business logo on there as well, so that we're building your brand and building, your clients are feeling like they've got a touch from you, and you're the ones keeping them informed. The next thing that, and that, by the way, that legal update, we don't send out a legal blast every time there's a change. We only send one a month. And we find that people prefer that. They don't like getting emails every week. Oh, now this is going on. Oh, now this is going on. So we give them just one a month. Once a month, we also give them one best practice article. We call that our HR bulletin. And we take one topic, and it may cover, like we've covered how to set up wellness plans. We've covered, in January, we covered how to do the ACA employer reporting requirements. So the legal update will tell them what's changed and what's going on. Our best practice bulletins will give them a how to do some of these best practices. So here's an example of one we put out on how to pass an ERISA audit. How do you prepare to pass an audit? So again, this is one thing that they get once a month that's proactively pushed out to them. So throughout the month they get two things from us, the legal update and this bulletin. And we send these to you as well. Okay, now I'm going into the web-based tools. So there's a number of web-based services, and I'm going to go in and actually show you the services here in just a moment. But the first one comes back to that list of all those notices that we're looking at. We take the approach of the more simple one and then you're done, approach, and we find that this works better than trying to piecemeal sending people things out or tracking when did that notice go out. So once a year, we have the client or you, the broker, go into our web-based tool. You answer some simple questions about the company and about their medical plan, and then you push a button that says Generate Employee Notices. And the employee notice, then the system then pulls in which notice applies, fills it out, populates it, and then emails it to either the client or you, the broker, depending on who you've requested when you filled it out, in a ready-to-deliver format. So everything in this bracket here is included in that all-in-one notice, including the Medicare Part D. Now, separately, you'll see when we go into the site that there's a button they can push to generate their health exchange notice. Now, even though those were due back in October of 2013, they're still required to provide it to all new hires. So we keep that one separate because that has to go to all employees, not just participants in the plan, which the other notice only goes to participants. Now, separately, you'll see when we go into the system, we have what's called a summary plan description wrap document service. And I want to make sure everyone's clear on what that is versus a summary plan description. So organizations, what ERISA requires is a summary plan description or a summary plan description wrap document meets the requirements. Companies could individually go out and create a summary plan description for each of their benefit plans, medical, dental, life, disability, etc. And that will meet ERISA requirements. But it's more than what they get from the insurance company. It's not just the summary of benefits and coverage. It's not just something that explains a summary of what each of the plans are. It has to include other important elements in ERISA language and eligibility and what happens when the plan terminates and all of this. And so what a wrap document does, a wrap document pulls in all that missing insurance company information, wraps around all of the component plan documents, pulling them into one overall plan document and one overall summary plan description. And it simplifies the process. It also simplifies for those who have to submit in Form 5500, where before they had to submit in a Form 5500 for each of their health and welfare benefit plans where they had 100 or more participants in the plan, now they would just submit in one 5500 for this wrap document plan. Okay, so that's how that service there works. I'll briefly go, I'll give you some highlights of the wrap service, and then let's go in and I'll actually run and show you how these documents work. So the wrap document service, similar to that all-in-one notice service. So again, they're separate things. The all-in-one notice, we have clients run that once a year. We have them run this service here once a year, right around the same time they do their open enrollment. They know the changes in their plan. They know the new benefit names. They know how their health exchange is going to be, all this information, and then they fill that out and run that once a year. The wrap document service, all participants in the plan have to receive an SPD or an SPD wrap, and they have to receive that once every 5 years, as well as all new hires need to receive a current accurate SPD wrap. So you don't have to send that around every year. In between years, if there's changes, you send what's called a summary of material modification, something that communicates what's changed and how it might impact it, when does that change take place. So with the wrap document service, either your clients or you, the broker, can go in, you answer simple questions about the company's benefit plans, their offers, their eligibility and such, and we're going to go in and actually fill one out together. I'll go into more detail there for you. Once you answer those questions, you can, if you have questions as they go, they can call and talk to our specialist anytime, if you have questions in filling it out, or if you have every once in a while we run into something odd with a company, where it's like, wow, I have no idea how to deal with this one. Call us and we'll help customize it for them as well. But once they're complete, they can push a button to generate their document, and then it's sent out with instructions then on how to deliver it and what to include with it. And just so everyone's clear, when you're generating an SPD wrap document, you're not entering in deductible and co-insurance and limitations or other specifics of each of the benefit plans. You're just entering the stuff that's not already included or communicated by the insurance company. So when we generate a wrap document, you now have to include or attach the details of each of the benefit plans with that to complete it. So if I'm doing a medical plan, for example, I would attach, and there's different things that would meet the requirement. It may be the insurance certificates. That's probably one of the most common. But I may have a very good detailed brochure that I got from the medical insurance company that explains the deductible, co-insurance, and limitations and all the details of the plan. And that may serve to attach that information as well. If I can't find anything else, and I may just attach the summary of benefits and coverage. But I do that same thing for each of the benefit plans. So if I have a life insurance and long-term disability, if I have a flexible spending account, I attach details that explain the coverage. Any questions about that so far? Let's go into our system. So our system is just at hrserviceinc.com. So if I come in here, and I'm going to log in first, and I'll show you a client view. So if I log in as a client, this is what the client will see. And by the way, when they log in, they'll see your logo up here. So I've logged in as a test account. But throughout this whole process, we want to build your brand and image and give the impression that you're helping and providing the solution for them. So now if I've logged in as a client, and you see I have lots of tools and options up here, and there's drop downs and information that I can go into and access. We were just talking about this all-in-one employee notice report. So one of the first things I'd like to do is let me go in and I'll show you the employee notice report and how to run this all-in-one notice. So as opposed to, the dashboard takes a little different approach. They have a nice system where it tracks and reminds, details of notices and such, what's gone out, And some companies that works for great, especially those larger companies where they've got an HR person or benefit specialist that can manage that and keep up on it. Some of your small to medium companies don't like it because they get notified, have to track, somebody's got to go in and enter information, and that doesn't work for them. So the smaller companies, sometimes something like this might works really well. So they can come in here, they answer the basic questions in here about their company, they answer questions about their medical plan, and by the way, you can do this for them if you want to, but right now we're just showing you from the company's perspective. So once I've answered these various questions, then I can come in here and I can click to generate an employee notice document. I could also generate my health exchange notice. And I mentioned before, we generate them separately because this one goes to everybody, where the other one only goes to participants in the plan. So if I were to click that button to generate that notice right now, I'm going to go back to, let me go back here to my email, and let's see, I ran one here just a moment, yesterday. Okay, so if I come in here now, and I wanted to review an employee notice document, I could come in here and let's see. So here's one, for example. Okay, so if I click that button to generate an employee notice document, it would be sent to either the client or to the broker, whoever I indicated in there. And this is what it would look like. It would come with instructions on what to do next with the document. It would give them instructions on how to deliver it. And delivery could be either electronic or non-electronic. And then there's more details here they can click on how to perform any of those delivery methods. It also instructs them to go into the Medicare, the Center for Medicare Services, CMS, to indicate in there if they have creditable coverage or not. If they have questions about any of this, they can call us and we can answer their questions for them. But I have this document now comes in a Word format, so I could click this employee notifications document. And now this would come, they could have their logo in here. It's in a ready-to-deliver format, and it takes care of all of their notices all in one shot. So they don't have to worry about sending one out this month and sending one out this next month and sending, So now I indicated I had a grandfather plan. That's the only reason it appears in here. So it only brings in which ones that based on the answers I gave in that company profile section. So you can see now as I go down here, here's a HIPAA notice, here's a CHIP notice, here's the women's health and cancer, newborns notice, USERA, others, there's the health protection notice. I said I had a wellness plan, so there's a wellness plan notice. I've got my mental health and parity, my initial COBRA, on down to it even takes care of the Medicare Part D notice. And I may have more than one Medicare Part D plan. I may have one that has creditable coverage and one that doesn't. And it'll cover them both in here, and it'll detail the plan and insert in the information. It's all customized. So it goes out to them in this ready-to-deliver format. And again, the goal is to simplify this process as much as possible. I could also run my health exchange notice, and that would come in a similar fashion. It would be sent to me, in a ready-to-deliver format to give to new hires now. Now I can hit backspace, or if I had generated the document, then it would come back to this field again, to the main field. Now I can go into other services that's available here. So I can access all of our past legal updates, or if I want to search by legal topic, I can go in here and search by legal topic. They're in either alphabetical order, or I can hit Control F and find any topic that I want. So you've got this library of legal information that's there at their fingertips. We have a section here for forms. Most of them already have their new hire forms and documents and such, but it's nice having a one-place stop where there's the latest I-9, W-4, job application, authorization for payroll deduction, direct deposit form, whatever things they need, they have this here that's inside the system. They also can access all of our past best practice articles. So that's that HR bulletin. I mentioned we did one on the employer reporting requirements, or we did one on passing an ERISA audit. So they can access all of our past articles in here for any topic they want information on. Once a year, we give them a compliance calendar that outlines what we know at that point in time for the whole year, the whole next year. Now, some things may change, and then those changes are communicated to them, and then they're reminded of anything on that calendar the month or two before in the legal update. So it'll so just for example, there's an OSHA posting requirement in February, and so we notify them in January, to get ready for their OSHA posting requirement, and then we tell them what they need to do. And so it's a nice way to kind of step by step give people their actions, with that. Now, they also have, they could come in here and do the wrap document. Before I go into there, let me just show you briefly the HIPAA toolkit, because I mentioned clients have to be compliant with HIPAA as well. So they could come in here, it says start here. They could determine what level of HIPAA applies to them, and then follow the steps to create a HIPAA program. And then anything they need in terms of forms, documents, policies are all right here, and these are all in Word format so they can download and create and customize their own overall HIPAA program. Now, some of the smaller ones, they don't need an awful lot, but there's everything that even a doctor's office would need inside of here to create a full HIPAA compliant.
Now, Ken, if I may,
yeah, please.
We actually, as part of this morning's discussion, we're actually, for certain profile accounts, we have an attorney solution to HIPAA compliance. So I just want to make sure that everyone's clear that what we described this morning, what I described about your self-funded plans and your HRAs, you would still use the Fisher and Phillips solution for HIPAA. But what we had also discussed is that there are some other accounts that don't fall in that category. If they do have concerns, this tool is available. But again, they've kind of got to go in and build it, and I can tell you unequivocally that would be a different experience than what we're doing with Fisher and Phillips. So I just want to make sure that the two aren't confused.
Yeah, so this is a self-service tool, where they can go in and understand steps, and then here's the pieces of the puzzle to create their overall program. And if you want to assist them with any of this, I mean, you could log in as them and then access this information. Just a point of clarification, of course, only clients who are signed up on this service can utilize the legal updates and the bulletins and the tools and such. That kind of goes without saying, but we've got a lot of folks here today that may have not heard that, and so I just want to emphasize that. So when we send you a legal update, for example, you can't forward it to others who are not already on the service. So coming back now to this, back to these tools, these other tools here. So if we go into the SPD wrap service now, so if I click that drop down, I can come in here, anything I already answered in that other section for the all-in-one notice, it will populate automatically over here. And now I can come down and answer the basic questions. Most of this is very straightforward, and that's why some of our clients might even have some of our brokers might even have their client go in and fill out some of this first. Others want to do it all for them. I don't know, do you have an approach that you've decided there for your organization?
We've been generally, we created actually the equivalent of a questionnaire that more or less replicates this, gather the information, and then someone at either an account executive or an account manager would actually input the data. And then the completed documents would then come to us, not directly to the group. Okay,
perfect. So I'll show you from that perspective then, as I explain how the service works. So basically, once you've answered these questions, and there's a question here that says, do you currently file Form 5500? If that's no, the system will automatically assign number 501 as the plan document number. If it's yes, we don't want to use the same number that they've already used with previous filings. So if I've already used 501 and 502 and 503, then the next number would be 504, and you would take the next sequential number to assign for this. If I've only used 501, then I would use 502. So that's now once I come here, this is an important section because I have to check whichever benefits apply to this employer. And whatever I've checked here, that's what's going to populate down below. So I've indicated here I've got a medical, dental, life, LTD, and a 125 POP plan. So down below now, that's what's populated down here. I'll go back through some of those other sections in a moment. But now here's the medical insurance. Here's the questions I answer related to that. Here's the dental insurance, LTD, life, 125 POP. And you can see there's always the option to, is there an additional plan? So is there an additional LTD? Yes. And then I can enter in the basic information associated with that, or I can say, remove. The same thing with each of these. There's always that option. Is there an additional medical plan? If I say yes, then it pops up, and then I'm able to answer the information. Our system does give you the option if you want to include premium information. So right here, there's this question that says, I prefer to skip showing the rate contributions for all benefit plans and will attach that information once the document arrives. I've already said yes here, so you see there's no rate information appearing. But if I went over here and said, no, I want to include that information in the document, I can do that by saying no, and then you'll see rates appear. I can show rates as a percentage or dollar amount for the medical, the dental plan. The other plans, I just show a percent paid by the employer inside of those. So again, that's an option. I would say it's probably more common that people are leaving it out just because they may already have some way that they've prepared and communicated the rate information, and it may be easier just to attach it. But it is an option. If you want to show and include rate information, you can. But if you wanted to skip it, you just say yes right there, and then you'll see all of the rate information disappears and it won't merge into the document now. Let me go back up to the top and I'll go through some of these sections. And I'm happy to go into as much detail as you want. I just wasn't sure, of our full audience today if I should keep a higher level or detailed level. I'll start out, kind of in between there a little bit. So there's a question here. The first thing I have to cover is eligibility. So in most scenarios, probably 90% or higher, your employers are going to define their work average hours as 30. It'll be full-time employees who participate, and they'll do something like first of the month following 60 days. But there's lots of other options here that we can cover, and deal with for those scenarios. There may even be a situation where someone says, well, I want to split it out, because that first question, it says, are average work hours required for benefits the same for all health and welfare benefits? If that's no, I could come in here and say, well, it's 30 hours for medical because that's what they say it's required to do right now, but it's still 40 hours for all the other benefits. I can do that if I want. I can even say, are there other benefits with a different average hours requirement? So if I want to say yes, then I can go in here and indicate which benefit and which hours. So I have that kind of capability here when needed. Or I can change other scenarios here, if benefits, start differently. There's also a question that says, is the benefit eligibility start date the same for all health and welfare benefits? Sometimes that's no. So I may have a situation here where I've indicated the dental and life starts after 180 days. Are there other benefits with a different date? I could say yes, and then I could come in here and indicate, well, the wellness plan starts right as of the date of hire. So I can deal with those kinds of variances. If I want to take something off, I just hit remove. There's also a question that says, does eligibility differ for any group, such as executives, exempt, etc.? So if that's no, then I'm done. I don't have to do anything. If it's yes, then I indicate which group, what's the average hours they work, and when do their benefits begin. So in this example here, I did management, who works 30 hours, begins as of the date of hire. Are there any other groups that's different? I could say yes. Maybe there's maybe exempt employees or unions. We hope that as a general rule, clients are doing less and less of this because eventually they're going to have to pass the discrimination testing. And it makes it difficult when they get too many different groups here. But, you know, for this year, they can still do that and get by. I won't hit every section here, but we do cover, you know, they can define their, if they have a measurement period, then they can define this measurement period. So if I say, yes, I have a measurement period, I can go in here and say that's that a 3-month, 6-month, 12-month. 12 months is probably the most popular. And then I also have to indicate my administrative period. You know, so and 30 days is probably a common administrative period. But then I can indicate those things, and then that will be merged and communicated in the document how the whole measurement period, how that works, and how that defines eligibility inside the system. We also have to cover what happens when the, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, is there a question?
Yes, there is. It's Karen again.
Thank you.
You and I had corresponded on this. Are you going to actually add an additional question that describes the initial measurement period for new hires, or you're just going to be doing the measurement period for ongoing employees?
Yeah, great question. We have talked about that. I believe the plan is that we are going to separate that out, you know, so that it would cover both. And I apologize, we just have not we haven't fit that into the programmer yet.
Oh, no, that's fine. I just wanted to clarify. It was my understanding that it was going to happen, so I just wanted to make sure that, A, confirm that that was the case, and B, you know, have everybody hear that.
Okay.
Again, because it's important, the ongoing versus the initial measurement periods for new hires. So at some point it's going to be, the questions are going to be here, which means that the document that's produced will articulate it. And I had also, Ken, provided you with very detailed language about a recommendation, and is that, you think, going to be kind of integrated in the document once you add the initial measurement period?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah,
perfect.
That was very helpful, and that is the, I mean, there may be a few changes in that, but when we get that further down, I'll provide you with that information, so you've got
very
that.
good. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, and by the way, I really appreciate your questions and things on this and clarifying, Karen. Thank you. The
Ken,
oh, go ahead. Another question.
Yeah, this is Diane. This is probably a dumb question, but with the wellness plan, how defined does your wellness program have to be in order to include it as an actual benefit?
Yeah, if you're go ahead.
Well, Diane, that's something that we're going to we'll address offline, but Tom sent the email out. And so things such as biometrics and flu shots, et cetera, would technically fall under ERISA. So they would be included in the SPD, and they would be subject to COBRA.
Yeah, some of them are tied right into their medical insurance plan, you know, where maybe the provider offers some sort of wellness and wellness thing, you know, hey, if you'll do this, then, you know, some of those you may not have to, but generally if it's a formalized plan and there are, you know, actual services like that, or if you're doing differences in premium incentives and such like that, you know, then you would list it separately.
Oh, I see. I didn't read this email yet. Okay.
Oh.
I'm looking down through my millions of emails here. I hadn't seen. Well, okay, thanks.
And I've got questions out to COBRA administrators. I've got questions direct to Cigna, because Cigna is going out to our groups and they're saying you should do biometric testing and you should do flu shots, and you're not constrained to doing some of these. I think the biometrics, you're not constrained to doing them to just the Cigna participants. So I want their feedback. You go out and do this. A group doesn't attach it to the medical plan and says any employee can take advantage of this. So we have an ERISA, it becomes a group health plan. That's one issue. And then number two, it becomes a COBRA issue. So I'm going to COBRA vendors, and I'm going to Cigna to ask these questions. And when I have enough information, I'll, I guess, discuss it with Tom and share it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Well, I won't hit every single field in here, just for the sake of your time here today. But realize you have to cover your open enrollment month. You may, if you have multiple open enrollments, so is the open enrollment month the same for all plans? If that's no, then I could go in here and say, well, the dental plan, so the main open enrollment you list here would be the medical insurance one, and then if there's different open enrollments for other benefits, then you would just indicate those. So I could have multiple ones I can cover in the tool here. The same thing. There's a question here: does your plan follow does your plan year follow a calendar or a fiscal year? So if it's calendar, we know what that is, and I'm done. If it's fiscal is any other time besides calendar. So in this example here, October 1 through September 30th is their fiscal year. You may have a lot who did some early renewals, so maybe theirs is 12/1 through November 30th. So you have to make sure you deal with that. Do plan year dates differ for any of your plans? Most of the time that may be no, but if it's yes, then the same thing here. You indicate which benefit and then what that plan year is for that other benefit. Okay. Now, it does ask for the plan document effective date. What we can't do, so let's say that you're talking to a client and they've never had a plan document or they've never had summary plan descriptions. I can't go back to when they first started, years ago, but I can go back within their same plan year. So if I'm doing this now, and we're into May, can you believe we're into May already for this year? My goodness. If I had someone that was their plan was effective January 1, and I'm just putting this together for May, I could still put January 1 here, for their plan year. So I could put January 1, 2015, but it has to be within the plan year. Okay. Now the rest of this, most of it is pretty straightforward, and so I won't go into details on all of these. But once I enter in the basic information for the different benefit plans, now I'm ready. I can come down here, and if I've had any questions along the way, call and talk to our specialists, and we'll guide you through and help you through. If you need customization in the document, we'll help you with that. If I leave this completely blank in this section here, and I'm ready, I can generate this document. Right now, your approach is you have the document come back to you. So you would check that box to make sure it's going to broker, and then I'd click generate the document. Anytime I enter in information, I need to make sure I save the information. The system will automatically save about every 5 minutes, but if you want to be sure, you can always come down and save and continue, or save and exit. Or if you're ready to generate your document, you generate the document from there. So that's a very quick and dirty overview of how you fill out the questionnaire to generate the document. Any questions about that so far?
And what's the time frame between the time that you hit generate document and the time that the broker actually gets it in email, I assume?
It'll be instant right now. If I were to hit generate, it'll go right to you just as soon as you click the button, unless you made notes in here. If you want our specialist, if you had notes for the specialist, or you wanted her to review any of your information, that will defer it by 2 to 3 days. Okay. If you need it right away, just call her and she'll go in, within the hour and go through it and do it immediately. But if you put notes in here, that could defer. That's why right now the way the system is set up, if you don't have anything in here, and you have, we're assuming you've already dealt with your questions. So if I click this generate document, it'll go to you immediately. Okay. Now also inside of here, if I wanted to, I could generate a summary of material modification. So just so everyone's clear what that is, anytime there's been a change in a benefit plan that's considered material, so maybe something that increased the benefits or decreased the benefits, for example, those are material modifications. I have to communicate those changes for any of the benefit plans. So we offer you a tool to generate a formal summary of material modification that will also connect back into the SPD wrap document, and connecting in the document number and the details of the plan. So what I could do here, for example, if I'm running one for medical insurance, I could attach something that explains the change, or I could just explain the change. I could type it out myself if I wanted to. I indicate the date, and then I check which kind of change is it. Is it a change that eliminates benefits, or change that provisions that establish a new benefit? So you check which one applies. And now that I'm complete with that, I could either generate that notice. The difference here, this one, when I click that button, it would just have me download it right away on the spot here. It wouldn't email me something. So this one would just download it, or it would appear up here, and it saves all the summary material modifications in a history. So if I click that, I can come in here, and then I could download. I could click download, and then it'll download it'll download the document for me. So now let me do this. I'm going to go out of here for a moment and show you your broker access. And I'm sorry, I don't remember
when we go in here, we log in. You just showed us the employer side. If we were to go in and start the wrap, for instance, for them, would we be able to do that as much as we could? And then if there was any outstanding questions, the employer could go in and fill them out on the employer side?
Yeah, and that's what I'm going to show you right now. So if I sign in as a broker, so if I click, this is one of your UBA members, Carlisle Insurance, Carlisle and Carrigan. So if I logged in as you, then you go under Partner Setup, Clients List. We're changing this now, to where it'll be easier in the future. But for right now, you go under Clients, Partner Setup, Clients List. What that allows me to do now, I can see all of my clients right here at my fingertips. So if I'm Carlisle and Kerrigan and I want to go in and help King in distributing and I want to complete the wrap document, all I do is hit this Edit SPD questionnaire, and then I can come in here, fill out the information for them, answer all the questions, and send the document right back to me. Or if I wanted to send it to them, I could. But your approach right now is it comes back to you. So that's how you would edit and work on documents for your clients. If I want to go back out of here, I could either go back to Partner Setup Clients List again, or it's easier if I just hit the back arrow. Now I need to make sure I saved any information while I was in there, right? So if I had generated something or saved it, then it would just pop me back to here anyway. So I could also, for King and distributing, I could generate the summary material modifications. If I hit that Generate Material Modification, I could go in and run their all-in-one notice. We talked about the employee notice document. So if I hit that Edit Employee Notices, now I'm in here. I can generate all their notices, or I can generate their health exchange notice right here at my fingertips. So it's kind of nice having all of your clients right here at your fingertips, so you can go in and edit and help with any of their documents. I could do the same with their POP document if you do that through us. The POP document, just to show you. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry. Is there any way, yes, if you could go, because I think if I'm recalling, when you do the POP document, you have to log in as the employer, I believe, correct?
Yeah, and so I was going to show you that. If you read this little note right down here, it says enter client username and password when setting up the 125 POP at our site. So this is we own this site as well. It's just another, you try and do, instead of doing everything at all in one site, this one, it does do the POP document in this tax-free premium site. So if I were to click that button, it's going to ask me for this username and password. So if I want to work on King and distributing, and I click this button, this is you'll see it's their email and then that password that I enter. So if I click that button right now, it takes me to the site for tax-free premium, and I would have to enter that in again. So that's one, and I apologize for that extra step. Eventually we'll have that to where it'll be more automatic, so that you'll be able to just click the button and have it just go right into it, but baby steps. So right now there is that step that you'd have to enter that in there.
Another comment, when the changes were made to the POPs last fall, you know, a qualifying event because I become eligible for coverage on the exchange, you know, due to a subsidy. Yes. The POP, the revised document, is sent directly to the group. It was not sent to me. Now, and that's how it happened. I discovered that after the fact, and Anita said your procedure is going to be the same. It's going to continue. Any amendments or new POPs will go direct to the group, but if that does happen, that we will be alerted to that fact, correct?
Yeah, so anytime we have a change in the document, we'll notify you that there's been a change and give you a summary of what's gone on with those changes.
Okay.
Okay, great question. So I think, any questions about how this works here? So you can go into any of your clients and manage their notices, their SPD wrap, their summary of material modifications, and their POP document, all right within this. So all you do is log in with just your username and password for your whole organization. You know, and then it just makes it really easy to be able to manage it that way. Okay, so just to wrap up our discussion here today, and then I'll open it up to questions. So what we've talked about here so far, we talked about the compliance basics part where you have the two emailed solutions. They get the legal update, due date reminders for all employment laws, state and federal. And then they also get the best practice article that goes out. That's that HR bulletin. We talked about the web-based solutions that they can access that all-in-one notice. They can access our libraries of legal information or forms and documents or best practice articles. We've got the HIPAA kit that's inside of there as well. And that's also where they would access their SPD wrap document, or if they've added in the POP document, they can access all of that inside of there as well. Now we have some, and Karen, I hope I've given you these new rates. We had some rate changes here just within the last couple of months. But you can see the rates for the service. So if they have the Compliance Basics plus SPD, and I don't remember how many clients you have with us right now, let's just say that you're at the 21 rate. So this is based on the number of accounts assigned to us, and then this is the monthly rate per company is how that works. So if you have 21 to 49 accounts with us, your rate for the Compliance Basics plus SPD wrap is $13 a month per company. If you add in the POP service, that adds in $3 more per month, you know, to include that service. You can break out if you have someone that you don't want the Compliance Basics service for. So maybe you have a scenario where you're kind of going, I don't need the legal updates, I don't want the tools, the web-based tools. All they want is a wrap document. We can do that, and this is the rates for the wrap document. Or if you just need a POP document only, you can do POP documents only. You know, so you have that kind of capability. The goal here is we want to give you and your clients what they need. We want to, so if they don't need a POP and it's current and accurate, then we don't need to give it to them. But you can see across these different levels based on the number of assigned clients. I would expect your organization will probably get to the diamond or star level relatively easily with the number of clients you have.
Do we have a copy of that rate sheet?
Actually, I just looked at it. The one we have, Ken, is old. We have one from February, so we will need that updated sheet.
Okay, Karen, I'll send that to you after this meeting, so you'll have that, and and then just let me know of any questions on that. But yeah, so so the more clients you get, the lower the rate becomes. Now you can, I'm sure you've already made some decisions about this. These are rates if we're running the invoicing through you. Now what you do with your clients, that's something you'll have to discuss internally how you're handling this as to whether, you may not be paying for the service for everybody. Some of them you may charge them something, and that's up to you. You could go to your client and say, well, we're going to charge you $250 or $300 a year, and then you just pay us the monthly fee. That's something you'll have to discuss and decide as a group, how you're handling those things. Karen, did you want to address that now? I don't want to create a can of worms here for you, but
that's generally speaking, we're paying for it. I'm not sure that there's going to be a circumstance, but if someone wants to do something different, you have your reasons, discuss it with Tom, I guess. but generally speaking, this is something that's included in the, basic services provided by TRG to our clients.
Okay. Great. Well, that is a quick overview of where we are right now, and I just wanted to see if there's does anyone have any questions? I'm sorry, we did take the full hour too. It took longer than we thought we would, so.
It was worth it.
Excellent. Well, other questions that you have?